Welcome to Crotoni Entertainment. I'm Chris.
I'm Bree.
And tonight we're going to talk about stuff.
Paint.
Things. We
Paint.
primed some minis.
Woo woo.
We did. We primed some minis. They're ugly minis. So
They're old.
this.
They're old.
We got this thing here. We primed it in our Krylon 2X matte perfect gray that we've talked about before. We got this one primed in Krylon Heirloom White.
Kind of yellowy white.
It is. It's got like a cream color. And then we got this one primed in black. So these are three minis from an old project I was doing where I was converting up a kind of like almost Narnia-esque elf army for Warhammer Fantasy. I haven't really touched these minis in years, but this is actually more of a conversation about contrast paints and a conversation about washes. So first I want to talk about contrast paints and primers. I like to use this Krylon 2X Perfect Gray. I like the way it covers. I like the way contrast goes with it. And I'm going to kind of show you what this Fire Slayer flesh looks like over this flesh. I would have preferred to use Guilliman flesh because that's the one I like the most, but my Guilliman flesh bottle is empty, and the last time I was at the store, I could not get one because they didn't have one on the shelf. But this Fire Slayer flesh will work fine. So we're just taking this right out of the bottle, and we're just pinning it right on the mini. Now, I'm not doing a complete mini here tonight. I'm doing a showcase. My dog is whining in the background. I'm doing a showcase of washes versus contrast. So we're just going to sloppily get some on here. And we're going to go ahead and say we got good enough on this mini.
Yeah, his chesticles are covered.
Yes. Well, maybe a little more dab there. Stroke the chest.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll put them out of the way for focus reasons on the camera. So we'll pull up the Heirloom White, which is more of a cream base, and we're going to take the exact same color. This is the Fire Slayer flesh again, and we're gonna paint it on. You can already tell that we have a distinct color difference.
Yes.
Right now, it looks more yellow.
Yeah,
it's not
sepia. It's sepia.
It's going to look something a little different as it dries, but you can see a significant difference just in the same color over a different primer.
Yeah.
So colors underneath your contrast, they don't have to be primers either. They can be any paint color you paint on there, but you get this drastically different color. Now this won't work on everything. So we've got this black primer mini here,
yeah,
and the contrast paint, even though it has a high pigment ratio, is not going to do well. It's probably going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. We're going to paint this on, and you can't even see it. It's high pigment. Its high pigment cannot create coverage over the black like a standard flesh would, a full pigment paint. And that's just due to the contrast of the properties of the contrast. I'm going to get rid of that guy. He doesn't need to be here.
He dumb.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing here, which is actually going to be taking another one of these kind of elf things, and we're going to use an actual wash on some of the fleshy bits here. There's not as much flesh on this as there was on the other models we used, but this is really just for a comparison. So we're just going to take this Reichen flesh and we're just going to paint it on some of the flesh. It occurs to me now that we're doing the commentary that there was no reason for me to limit this to the flesh.
No, you pretty much could have painted the whole model.
Yeah, it's just a proof of concept.
Especially considering he doesn't have an arm.
Yeah, it's just proof of concept. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, we're going to bounce back in, and we're going to take a look at the dried results on these minis here. So we've got the one that was primed in the Heirloom White, and then we got the other one that was primed in the Krylon 2X Perfect Gray. None of these are Citadel. I'm sorry. These are both primed in the Krylon Perfect Gray.
Was just showing
these are the flesh. Let's move some things around. There we go. We got focus back. So this is showing the wash. So it's pale. It's almost pastel. It does look fairly natural, or actually even possibly fey. It's actually a good color for an elf.
It is.
But it's a uniform color, and this is the contrast paint, the Fire Slayer flesh, over that same perfect gray. There's a lot more definition built in from the contrast paint.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just the, what was it we said in the other episode, the bulging ripples?
Yes.
That's just not the bulging ripples of the model's sculpting. That actually is the color. The deepest recesses get a richer shade of the flesh. The higher recesses are showing more of the gray through them to create a natural thing. This is the difference between a contrast and a wash on flesh. One of them is more vibrant. Not that vibrancy is your measure for good versus bad, but one of them is more vibrant than the other one. The other one is more washed out and pastel because there's not as much pigment in a wash. A wash is basically just a very, very thinned down paint.
Mm-hmm. That's why you can actually make most of your own washes if you want to.
Absolutely. You just take paint, a lot of water, and some Dawn and dish soap to act as a liquid flow agent. Mm-hmm. This is that same Fire Slayer flesh over that Heirloom White. Remember how it looks so much more yellow going on?
It still does.
It actually looks more red. There's more red built into it here.
It does have more red, but it looks sepia. It looks like
does. It does. You can see this distinctly different tone. I prefer the tone with the perfect gray. That's why I use that. The Heirloom White is a little too in your face for me. But the point here is you don't need to spend $17 a can on the Games Workshop primer. It is a myth that contrast only works on the Games Workshop colors. It can work on any color that's lighter than your contrast paint, regardless of whether it's a primer or a paint on. It does not matter.
great.
The difference with the specially formulated paints is so insignificant. It's just Games Workshop trying to sell you a $20 can of primer.
Yeah.
It's not worth doing.
No, nobody's got time for that.
It's not worth doing. Now, I have a lot of Games Workshop paints. You've seen me use them. I wish I could replace them all. I wish I could get off of Games Workshop paints. I wish I could find a contrast in another line. I've heard there are some out there. I got to hunt them down. But let's go back to our other point here. We're going to grab a couple more of these elves for more kind of proof of concept with what we want to do here. Because it's not enough to say we had a flesh color contrast and we had a flesh color wash.
Right. We got to do it with colors that you're probably going to use more frequently.
Yes, and it doesn't matter which colors you use. That's not the point. And we're not doing a pigment comparison today. We're talking about what they are. So a contrast paint is a heavy pigmentation mixed with all paints are pigmentation mixed with a liquid base. The contrast has a uniquely designed liquid base, which is much heavier than standard bases, and there's a higher ratio of it. So when you paint with a contrast, the color is going to flow down into the recesses, very similar to how a wash operates. But because there's so much pigmentation mixed in, it's going to stain the model a lot more than a wash is going to do it. So you're going to get that color grabbing onto the mini in a much stronger tone than you would with a traditional wash, but not as strong as a paint. So we got a black contrast here. We got a black wash.
I love black washes.
No oil. This is talent in a bottle right here. This is incredibly useful. We're going to show you a little bit of that tonight. That's kind of the point of this. But that's not all we want to go with. We want to make some space here because we want to go with some other colors as well to kind of showcase this. We're going to do a blue, and then we're going to hit the camera. We're going to go with this other blue that we bought without a label. We're pretty sure it's Talisar blue. It doesn't matter.
I think it's Talisar, yeah.
It doesn't matter for this. We're not comparing pigments. We're just showing off the properties of washes versus contrast paints. So we got a blue and we got a red. We got our Caribou Crimson wash. We got our Blood Angels red Citadel contrast paint.
I love
we're probably going to need a few more models to make this work.
Yeah.
So let's
bring some friends in.
Yeah, we got a few more from this failed army project. Some of these are broken. The mold lines are horrific on these. I started this project well before I was anywhere decent at anything in life. But they're gonna.
I mean, they're on square bases, so that should have been a dead giveaway.
Don't hit on my square bases. That's just not nice.
Oops, not nice.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
Not nice.
So let's pull this all the way.
Bye.
And let's do some comparisons.
Okay.
So we're going to take this guy here.
Hello.
We're going to take our blues.
And we're going to do blues?
Okay. We're going to do blues. And we're going to do it on the feet. We're going to
blue feet.
The boots here. So we're going to just dip a paintbrush right into the paint. Right into the contour. We're not thinning it with the medium. We're not doing anything like that. We're just dipping it in the Talisar blue, and we're painting it directly on the boot.
And you can already see it's a much thicker application.
And you can hear our dog whining in the background, probably.
Yeah, hold.
We do
Damn
not,
it!
Hey, what was that all about? We don't know what's going on with him tonight. He is not locked up. We did block him out of this room while we recorded because this room has faux wood floors, and he's got the little claws on it when he comes in here.
Yes.
And we want to avoid that because it really screws up with the recording. But he's got some kind of major fear of missing out, and he's like concerned that we're not there or something. I don't know. So this is our blue wash. We're just going to paint this on. Said it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. It is a drastically different color. We don't care. Pay attention to how it's settling on the miniature. Pay attention to how it's drying. You can already even see before that's dry how much richer the contrast color is.
I love using that blue wash over metals. It gives such a cool color.
I mean, I guess. Anyway, onto the red.
Meh.
We're going to do the same basic concept here. We're going to pick one leg and we're going to wash it. And again.
And again.
I mean, just watch what it's doing. Watch where it's flowing. Watch the pigmentation it's picking up. Watch the depth of color, because we're using about the same amount of material on our brush in both cases.
Yes. Except the washes don't smell like the contrast does.
Well, this is true.
The contrast
makes your water smell pretty quick. Don't drink your paint water.
Don't drink your paint water. That is definitely
drink your caramel whiskey that we drank on the most recent pre-plays. What was that called?
The Dame and the Duke of the Dame.
Dominatrix.
Nope, not that. Not that.
Google,
the red's gone.
Just Google caramel whiskey rule 34.
Nope, don't do that either.
So anyway, we're coming back to the first two that we grabbed. And you may have noticed that we pre-painted some silver on their chest plates. Because now we want to kind of showcase what is going to happen when we go over a metallic instead of going over our undercoat.
Oh, there it is. Talent in a bottle. Talent in a bottle.
So here's our Nuln Oil. It's just going over the breastplate of this one. And you can already see that the color is flowing into the cracks or the grooves of the armor.
Crevice.
The crevasses. We're going to take another one of the guys. We're going to take Bluey here, and we're going to paint some Nuln Oil on Bluey's breastplate, and that's going to make sense here shortly.
You sure?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if any of this makes sense. This may be a terrible video idea.
No, I think it's really cool that we're like...
It may be terribly constructed.
That's a Kryptonian Entertainment staple right there.
This is true. So now we're going to do the black contrast paint over the other armor.
And this is, for those of you who watch all of our other fabulous videos, you will notice that this is Black Templar. We use this paint a lot. Like...
Contrast paints have actually reduced the quality of my paint. Which, although if you're a new everyman painter, you're probably going to see an improvement with them. They've actually decreased the quality of my paint, but you can see how they come together.
Yeah. You don't do nearly the highlights or the complicated paints you used to do.
No, but I'm churning out so many more models.
Yeah.
So this is the Nuln Oil. You can see that the silver is still there. The silver is still very prevalent. We've got that dark black down in the recesses, which is what we want.
Oh, yeah. Yawn button. I am the yawn button.
And then over on that, well, yeah, I mean, I was hoping you'd give useful commentary instead, but here we are. So the Black Templar over it, you see it just completely overpowers the silver. You can actually see bits of the silver coming out on the very edges, but now we have black armor. It is black armor that actually has some nice definition on it, but we no longer have silver armor, whereas over here we have silver armor with some nice shading. Well, we don't necessarily have to highlight this more if we don't want to, but we can. And on the other side, we just have straight black armor. It looks great. If you're going for black armor, it's fantastic.
And you will get, like, when the light hits it just right, you will still see that sparkle of silver underneath.
Yes, because the contrast does show a little bit of the paint underneath. It's one of its properties. But you see, that was really a demonstration of how rich the pigmentation is. So over here you see the same thing. This red, look how rich and vibrant this red is. And you can kind of see on the raised areas almost a little bit of that gray breaking through, but still being tinted red. So you've got depth built in. You've got dark areas kind of in the folds of the boots here. You got some lighter areas raised up and some midtones in the middle. And all we did is paint this with one color. We didn't do anything fancy here.
You're going to have to start getting you manicures.
On the other side, well, I work in construction, guys, so I apologize. So over here on the other side, we got the red, but it's mostly down in the grooves. The rest of it is not tinted very strongly at all because the paint is so thin, it's not able to dry on it and stick the way the contrast does. And the blue, you're seeing exactly the same thing. It's very one note. We've got the deepest recesses, but otherwise it's pretty one note, whereas the contrast blue has a lot of vibrancy, and you can see the different tints of the blue.
Yeah, within it.
Just right in there.
But
so this is the difference between your contrast and your washes. Not saying one is better than the other. They have different applications.
Yes, I use the red and the blue washes on flesh.
So you can see
when I was doing my zombies.
Going on to the breastplates there, we have the one that was washed with the Nuln Oil and one that isn't. So now I want to show you what happens when you do a color over a silver base coat. We did the black, but I want to show you what happens when you actually do a color. So where you're taking that Talisar maybe blue, and it's pretty vibrant, and you'll see I did not push the other model out of the way. Oh, there's the on button again.
Whoa!
So you say I didn't push that out of the way. I don't know why I'm yawning. Actually, I do know why I'm yawning, guys. It was a very long day at work, and we're trying to put this video out tonight. So we're actually filming this right before we put it out.
Because we're slackers.
Oh, we're terrible at doing YouTube.
Yeah.
This is why we have less than 100 subscribers. We're going to have more videos than their subscribers soon.
That'll be amazing.
That's not amazing. That's actually terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's my quota. I haven't said terrible yet this video.
Here
we are.
There you go.
So we're just doing this blue over both these breastplates. We're going to let this dry. We're going to come back and take a look at kind of how they compare to each other. the spoiler here is it's not a better or worse comparison. You're going to get a slight variance just like you did before. So this is the one that had the Nuln Oil under it. You see that it's got a lot of darkness still in it because that Nuln Oil, A, made the silver darker, and 2, left areas of black in the recesses that the Talisar Blue can't overcome.
Right.
So you have this kind of multi-layered dark armor, whereas the other one you can see is notably brighter.
It looks like, Chris O'Donnell dressed up as Nightwing.
Don't hate. And he had red on his suit in that movie because it was terrible. So anyway, you can see you don't have the same darkness. You have a richer, more vibrant color. Either one of these is good depending on what you're looking for.
Depending on what kind of paint job you're doing.
Absolutely. And both of them maintain the metallic properties of the silver underneath. You can see, especially on the blue model there, the difference between the shininess and the matte.
I like that you said blue model, like they weren't both.
One of them has blue. One of them blue boots.
Oh,
so we've got all our models here, except for Mr. Black Prime because we flipped that guy away and he's gone forever.
Why me?
So just a quick overview, just a quick idea of how contrast and washes work, and you can experiment with this as much as you want. You could do different color undercoats. You could try greens and blues and purples and pinks, whatever you want to try. Try different contrast paints. Try different washes. Try combining different color washes with different contrast paints. It doesn't just have to be a black wash and a color contrast paint. You could do the blue wash with the blue over it, the red wash with the red over it. You could actually do the Agric Shade is a great color, and that actually does stuff with the contrast too. I just ran out of I couldn't find more minis to kind of showcase that. You try different undercoats. You don't, not just undercoats, but different primers. So, like I said, I like to use the gray, but you got this heirloom white, and you could take a color like the heirloom white and paint it somewhere on the gray and use the same contrast and get 2 different colors out of it. So experiment, try different things, and basically, guys, thank you for watching for Tony Entertainment. Like and subscribe for more. Hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!